Thank you so much for joining us today. We today have Dr. Peter Marks, who is from the Center for Biologics and recently, with his team, expanded the opportunity to take advantage of our gene therapy approval. So I'm really thrilled to have you, Dr. Marks. I think we've been interacting for a very long time on so many issues. And today I'd like to talk about what we're planning to launch in the first quarter of 25, the Dystrophinopathy Clinical Research Network, better known as the DCRN. And the purpose of this is really to look at these complicated therapies and figure out if we can add them and how we add them and what both the benefits and risks of these therapies are going forward. So we're connecting 7 sites in the DCRN and really wonder how you feel about this, what we're in a complicated environment, and how you see this being of value to our community.
No, thanks so much. And thanks so much for having me and asking the question. I think really when we get to a place where there are multiple therapies for a disease, particularly when none of them is a curative therapy that's unambiguously doing the job, I think we get into the question of how do you combine or how do you sequence therapies so you get the most effect and you bring the most benefit. And the only way I think to get that job done is to be able to have a significant enough number of individuals and the kind of collaboration that you get when you have multiple groups working together. I'm very familiar with the model because I'm a hematologist oncologist by training. These cooperative group type arrangements have led to a lot of advancements, particularly in this area of trying to understand the best sequencing or the best combinations of therapies. So I think this is a great opportunity to help to move in this direction. And I think actually right now, the Duchenne's community, this is the right time for it to happen because there's actually kind of a critical mass of different approaches, both small molecules, ASOs, gene therapy now, all of these things are in the mix.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm thrilled about the COG model that you're probably very familiar with, the Children's Oncology Group. And is it, in your view, starting off small and sort of getting all the lumps and bumps out of the data sharing, the core labs, et cetera, the right way to go? Or do you dream big and then go? And how did you see that evolve?
Yeah, I think starting reasonably small is not a crazy thing to do because there will be bumps that you will work out, and it will be easier then to add on in the future if you work them out with a smaller group. Frankly, if you were to try to do this with a really large group and go big, you'd still have to essentially beta test, make sure it could still work with a smaller number. So I think what you're just doing sounds exactly right, which is you're making sure that this model works. And it works well. And once you've got it working, it should be pretty easy to add on additional places because you'll have the model working.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. And we, following gene therapy and its expansion, what we're seeing in some of the companies coming forward is they're excluding children or young men who've received a gene therapy. So what we're also hoping to do is offer to companies this cohort of patients for add-on therapies to also do clinical trials in the network. And I think the COG model has done that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this has been, I mean, look, the Children's Oncology Group model is actually what the adult oncology model eventually modeled itself after in its best way, because they were able to more so than even in adults, decide that, look, this may not be the perfect protocol, but it's the one we're going to study. And each iteration, they've been through multiple generations of protocols. Each one, they learn something new and care improves because they're asking very targeted, focused questions. And so that's the chance to do this here in Duchenne's and hopefully make the kind of progress in figuring out how you best sequence and or combine products to get to the most benefit for patients.
Well, we feel like we're in such an exciting time and so many opportunities. And I can't thank you and your staff enough. You've been incredibly kind, incredibly respectful, incredibly interactive with us to understand where we sit as patients and how we'd like to go forward. So thank you so much for this. We're going to call on you again and ask you to join us so that we try to get as much right as possible going forward. So I so am thankful for your joining us today, and know that we're going to come back to you about the DCRN as it evolves.
Yeah, my pleasure, and great luck as you launch this venture. I'm sure it's going to be successful. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you. Thank you so much.